So I think there are some states that allow for tax dollars to go to homeschooling families to spend on almost whatever they please. Would you or your group be in favor of that kind of legislation?
I would be. So here's how I answer that, because all this gets tied up in politics and that's all BS. Here's my entire theory of education. Mm-hmm. God gave that child to a parent. Mm-hmm. Therefore, that parent needs to be the dominant decision maker in that child's life until the child can do it for themselves. And so, mm-hmm. Therefore, if I am the dominant decision maker for my child, then resources should come to me. And if they're governmental resources, they should come to me. And I then make decisions about what's best for my child with care and consultation with others that I choose. So let me share my screen for a second, Michael. I want to show you, because that actually describes my theory of change. So this document is essentially what I describe as the learning independence document. When a child is born, you're able to see my cursor, correct?
Yep.
When a child is born, the parent has extremely high ownership over that child's learning and really everything that happens to that child, right? Mm-hmm. And the child, of course, has virtually zero ownership of their learning because, frankly, they're not capable of doing much of anything. They're learning, of course, but the parent sets the tempo for all that. Right. Over time, though, the child should be growing in their ability to lead their own learning, and the parent should be intentionally transitioning that learning to the child and leadership of learning, right? And then at some point that switches and the child now starts to do more and more on their own. That's when they're starting to decide what they study, what they want to pursue. They start defining their own definitions of success that are purely about what they're interested in and what they're about. And the parent turns into more of a coach. Mm-hmm. This model is exactly what happens in pediatric medicine, which is my background. The parent is always the empowered party in a pediatric environment. They make the decisions. The doctors always ask permission to do anything with the child. Mm-hmm. This model is what I'm advocating for. So here's the role of the physician. The physician is always supportive of the parent, but below decision-making authority of the parent, and then eventually below decision-making authority of the child or young adult. That's the role of the physician. They never get in front of it. They never say, I'm going to heal your child, because they know that they can't. But this is what happens with school. And so every parent who's listening to this, I hope you pay attention to nothing else but this, what I'm describing right now. The role of the parent when school comes into play, the role of the parent descends to virtually zero. Parents can't help decide what the child will learn. They can't influence the teacher that the child will have. Maybe they can choose the school, but frankly, that is more of the same model. The school then takes over as the learning leader. You see this? The child now is unable to build those skills of learning leadership, and then that turns into a crisis mode at some later point where you have an adult child who doesn't know how to learn, who doesn't know have the confidence of pursuing the things they're interested in, and the school is nowhere to be seen at that point. So that is my kind of description of how I see education and how frustrated I am that we can't move in this direction, because this is, to me, the model.